Greetings. This is Arvette McLean with Speak, The Universe Listens. New ways to view age-old challenges. Change your thoughts, change your life. Step into the bigness of you.
Hey everybody. So I was thinking about, I had a great topic that just came to my mind this week, and it came from somebody I was just talking to, and basically how we feel as though we're not where we're supposed to be in life, right? And I thought it was pretty interesting, because sometimes, and even for myself, I felt like I'm supposed to be at a certain stage in my life at 30, or when I was 20 I was supposed to be here. And I realized just along my journey, wherever I was at was where I was supposed to be at. And I think a lot of the times we sit back and we sort of compare ourselves to other people's journeys, because they're where we may want to be, you know what I'm saying? Or it's like we see ourselves, we're supposed to be there already, and not understanding like how the process is that we have to go through, but just appreciating it,
Yeah, see, I like this topic because I agree. Not I agree with, it's a such thing as being too behind or a step behind. But I'll just give a quick story. I feel like it might have been about 3 years ago. I felt like I was about 8 years behind where I should have been. And you see, well, because what was happening was I had like these grand ideas and dreams of what my life was supposed to look like. And so when it wasn't that, I was like, man, here I am. I can't remember how old I was. Oh, 3 years from now, 25. I'm 25. I'm still with my mom. Like, what am I doing? But at the same time, I knew what I was doing. Like everything was going fine, but there was certain material things that I wanted that I didn't see myself having, so I felt like I was behind. And it wasn't until I started really thinking about what we said here that I realized, first I needed to stop creating a barrier between what I wanted and like where I was at. So I needed to stop saying I wanted it. Like the minute I started feeling like I had those things and feeling how it would feel to have those things was like the first thing that I started to do. And once I started to do that, those things started to appear, like in the physical, I guess. But yeah, I never think you can really be behind. I think usually that's that barrier of what you want and where you are, and that feeling is just you needing to remove that barrier.
I've definitely been in a space where I felt like I ain't where I'm supposed to be.
Really?
Or where I want to be. And now I look at it totally different, because I'm like, I'm almost, by doing that, it's like you're almost not appreciating everything that you have already done. And it's almost like you talk down on yourself with that. Like it can be that. It's like you gotta appreciate every part, because I feel like everything that happened in my life led me to this point right now. And I can appreciate all of that because I love who I am now. And I feel like you just gotta be grateful for what you have now and what you're going to have.
I think that was one of my biggest things, was like not being grateful at that moment for what I did have, because I used to beat myself up a lot. I'm like, my associates at the time, sitting back, we're the same age, they married, got the house, and just living life and traveling. And I'm sitting back, I'm like, well, I want to do that too, you know what I'm saying? So, and I realized, like, just being a little bit more gentle with myself and understanding that that process that I was going through at that time, it was preparing me for what was getting ready to come in for me. And I think sometimes a lot of us sort of don't remember that the process for some is necessary, because what you got coming in is going to be something extremely awesome for you, So that was something that really hit home for me
Yeah, I like what both of y'all just said too, because I could see that in myself in that time. I was it's really interesting how wasn't appreciative of myself is what it was actually. Now I'm sitting here thinking about it. Like I wasn't appreciative of all parts of me, nor was I grateful for all that I was doing. So I would often diminish my accomplishments or like diminish things that I had happening in my life because I only wanted the next thing. But like if you're just chasing that feeling, then I was never gonna feel like anything. But yeah, like I know a prime example for me that just recently I started flipping was for a very long time, like, you know, my degree like meant absolutely nothing to me. Piece of paper has always been my thought and my feeling on it. But like now I'm more appreciative of those years and that journey to get it. Like it's interesting how much I start to reflect more on that time now, and I'm like, oh man, I'm really glad I got to do that. I'm really glad I got to do this. So now when I look at it, I think about those moments and I think about like how I feel instead of just, oh, this is supposed to be like the big accomplishment.
Be in the moment. Don't really focus too much on like the future. You know, that's something I can say. Like one of my things was like I was so focused on seeing the long run, right, that I wasn't even focused on the present moment that I was in. So since I wasn't focused on the present moment, I'm missing out on the things that the universe was showing me at that time that I needed to know and learn for myself. So I would tell anybody, you know, just going through your process, your journey in life, focus on the present moment where you are at. Don't worry too much about the future, you know, because it's gonna happen for you as long as you keep the mindset of knowing that you got it, believing that you got it, and things will flow for you. But really appreciate the process.
Yeah, see, I like that too, because another thing for me was a big part of me getting past that feeling was realizing that your thoughts become things. And so if I was walking around like always feeling like I'm behind,
Yeah.
then I'm putting myself at risk to actually fall behind in my own mind again. And that's not what I wanted at all. So I knew I needed to start creating a feeling of like how I feel to be where I want to be. And then as I started to feel that way, like actually feel like, oh, how would I do that job how would I do that position if I was in it? And like I started operating in that way and it started to come out.
I think a lot of times we get too caught up in what's next, and like when we get in there, we trying to control every little thing, and but really like what's gonna happen is what you aligning yourself with. So it's like I love this line: the best way to predict the future is to create it. You know, we got all the power to create it. It's like if you're looking at your life and you're like, I ain't where I want to be, or this is that, this and that.
Right.
It's like we got the power to just like that switch it, like ASAP. Like okay, we can switch it immediately. So it's like once you look at it, like hey, I got the power to create whatever I want
Right.
to be next, and align ourselves with that. Then I think that helps.
So I honestly cannot relate. I've never felt like I was behind or starting late or anything like that. I don't know how to explain it. My reference was always an internal reference versus an external. So I was never looking out in the world to see, oh, I should be doing this by this age and this. So I never felt like that. I did feel like there are things that I will never be able to do because I don't have the courage, the confidence, the voice for it. Like, so I always felt like I would always be behind, like I would never be able to like spread my wings and fly, but I never conceptualized myself as being behind in the moment. I don't know if that makes any sense. So it was kind of looking out into the future saying, dang, I'll never amount to anything. But I don't think I thought in the moment, I don't know, I can't explain it, but it was more like an internal thing versus looking out into the world and seeing, oh, I should have this by this time, and like it was never that. But I feel like we have grown up with the mindset of things are supposed to be hard, and you got to go through this hard stuff in order to get to the good stuff. This is your learning stops. These are your learning stations along the way, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. Like, that's how I did it as well as a young person, is, learning from the hard stuff. But we are the ones who give meaning to everything, right? So I can conceptualize my life as, I need to go through the hard stuff so I can learn the lessons so that I can get to the good part. I can give that meaning to my life, and then that's how my life will operate. Or I can say, you know what, I want all my lessons to come easy, which is what I do now. I want my lessons to come easy. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to expand. And so I'm able to be quiet and just allow stuff to flow to me. And so, like, when I travel or whatever and I'm just quiet, I just get all these downloads. It's like I just learn all this stuff. I learn this stuff just looking at nature. I learn stuff by watching people, listening to other people. Like I remember as a young person, I used to always say, I don't have to get hit by the car to know not to run across the street. If I see you running, you get hit, then I'm probably not going to do it.
Right.
But not always, though, because I also be like, well, I might even run a little faster than him.
Got an extra step on.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm saying, like, I personally, for Arvette doesn't feel like she has to go through all of the drama and trauma and whatever to learn the lesson to get to the good part. So I say all that to say is, again, we're the ones that give meaning to everything, and we can choose to be in the moment, to be in a state of appreciation, to be in a state of gratitude, to imagine the things that we want more of, don't create the gap, and have everything flow to us in an easy way. And it's something you say, Stephen, which I've heard all my life, when people will say, you're where you're supposed to be. And that I have a hard time with, like, you're where you're supposed to be. I feel like wherever you are, that's okay. Like, wherever you are is fine. There's nothing wrong that you didn't make any wrong steps. You don't have to go back and correct anything. You don't have to feel bad about where you are. Wherever you are, it's okay. So, but I was kind of making a distinction between it's okay, wherever you are, it's okay, versus this is where you're supposed to be. So I feel like when you say this is where you're supposed to be, it implies that this is how you had to do it. Your choices were pretty limited. You had to go through this process in order to learn this. However, I don't feel like you had to do that. We have so many possible choices, so many different things, so many different ways to get to this same point. So we don't have to go through the rough road, which, the rough road, we could literally do the straight path. And, it's all in what you're telling yourself, and all in the choices that we're making in our own belief system. So we get to decide how we're doing this life.
Yeah, see, I like that. It's all in the choices we make and what we decide to tell ourselves. Because I do know, I feel like for a long period of time, I would tell myself that you had to go through the hard stuff to, like, get to, like, what you wanted. Right. Not because I felt like that's what I needed to do, but because I used to want some way to justify, like, all right, why was this happening? And then when I found, when I started realizing, it's a million ways to do something, I still kind of wanted to believe this, because it's like, well, dang, like, now I definitely need to justify, like, what I just went through, because I knew I could have had otherwise. But then I think what got me past that was the idea of releasing the past and that story is just a part of me and a part of my journey, and not feeling like anything was wrong with it. And that's kind of what got me more to presently. Like, I just create whatever everything I want presently instead of thinking about the path I took to get there.
My life became a lot much easier as I gotten older and a little bit more wiser, and understanding that when I was younger in my journey, I was all about the hustle and bustle. That's all I do. Like, and then I got older, and it's like I realized I don't have to go through the hustle and bustle no more. That's something that I imposed on myself. Like, I told myself I got to grind super duper hard, just to have everything that I want. And don't get me wrong, of course you got to work for what you want, but it's not, that's the main thing for you to do in order to get what you want. And I look back at how I was, and I'm like, wow. I said, I did all that, and I burnt all that energy, when I could have just easily done it like this. So it's like, I wish I would have known what I know now back then.
Man, what you just said actually just made me think of two sayings put together. Well, of course you gotta work for what you want, is one of the sayings, and then the other one was, I never really understood, I never thought I understood. If you love what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
Like, because now I feel like if I'm loving who I am every day, then I'm never gonna feel like I have to work a day in my life. Thus, I don't have to work for the things I want. I just have to love who I am, love what I'm doing, and love me every day. And as a result, those things were, yeah, man, oof.
And that's exactly. Because we say things exactly, and not, I always use Stephen as an example because he is very open with his thinking. But the same thing that Stephen just said, we do that every day. And so he's saying, I don't have to work hard, but of course I got to work. So it's like, on the one hand, you're saying you don't, but your belief system is that you do. And that's all of us. We all do that. And it's so easy to think we're thinking one thing, but we're really thinking something else. We're thinking the opposite. And so this might not be an exact example, but I had an experience in Barbados that I already shared with y'all about something just in terms of me just changing what I was saying to myself and how everything changed. But I was recently, I didn't put on sunscreen, right? And so, but when I got on this boat, all this sun was shining directly in my face. And I was like, dang it, I forgot to put on sunscreen. I know I'm gonna be sunburned. Right. And so anyway, I went on about my business. And so then, of course, when Harry sees me, he's like, it's like this part of your face is just dark, it's dark from the sun or whatever. And I was like, I know, because I was like, dang it, I'm gonna be sunburned. And like I'll get sunburned and it'll just like, kind of sting or whatever. Particularly like this area will get sunburned. So anyway, but after I had said that, I was like, why did I say that? I'm the person that's giving meaning to everything. So instead of me saying, dang it, I forgot to put on sunblock, I could have said, oh, I love that this sun is shining on my face and giving me, renewed energy and life. Right. But instead, I chose to say, dang it, I'm going to be sunburned. And so, like, in every moment, we get to decide what this experience means. And we're so used to putting the negative, and negative isn't the exact right word, but we're putting a spin on it that we wouldn't love instead of saying something that we would love. And I think I would say that I do like to work. That's true. But I'm not going to tell myself I can't have things unless I work for it. Right. So how does that perspective sit with y'all? Like, I can tell myself what these things mean.
I like that because, it was I feel like everything always ties back in, honestly. Like I feel like a few months ago when I told you I really wanted to start feeling the words for what they mean. Like that's interesting too because that also is putting me in a position to give every word that I hear the meaning that I want it to mean. So if I were to, like in the past, somebody might say thank you, but I was never attaching like the feeling of thank you to it. So as a result, I was never feeling it. So now that we get to decide everything, like we get to decide the definition of things and things like words and the things that we go through, then that means I get to decide like this is what I want to feel or I don't like that. So I like that.
Yeah, I think it's. I look at it like having the power to create anything I want, and yeah, just realizing I have all the power in my hands.
Is that scary or that's empowering? Empowering?
It's empowering when, definitely empowering.
No, you good.
I agree. I think it's empowering, but also like every day just waking up is just more of, like you said, you know, you got the power to change your life, and you can do it. You can change it in a positive way, or you can change it in a negative way. What you're saying and what you're thinking, but also with the attention that you put into your day. You know, what's your attention for the day, and so that's something that I try to do on a daily basis. Like, what's my attention for the day? You know, and just go off of that. And normally my day goes pretty good. Not pretty good. It does go good. Correction.
I think for me, I just wish I had like a reminder, like with a time on it all day, that can just remind me like, hey, you got the power. You know, come back an hour later, like, hey,
That's so funny you say that too. I was just talking to a coworker and she was saying that she had a little what is the guy name? Is it Ron Simmons? The
guy with the curly hair, the exercise
Richard
guy?
Simmons. Ron Simmons is definitely Reverend. Okay, but she had a Richard Simmons little statue, or whatever. And every time you push their head down, he would give like a little positive affirmation. And like I think he said something like "You got it, girl," and things like that. Nah, maybe I should make one of myself.
All right, Steven. That was good.
Oh, thank you.
You want to wrap?
I would just say, I would tell the audience is pretty much just be intentional every day and know that you have the power to change your life, change your mindset, and you can have anything that you want. And you are okay where you are at in your life.
All right, any other closing comments?
I think you guys hit it.
Well, thank you. Thank you guys as well for joining us, and we look forward to chatting with you again next week. Until then, this is Arvette.
This is Steven.
Teron.
Rodney.